So basically, I just finished watching the Apple Live event, and Apple's unveiled their new, the iPad Pro, and they've unveiled the new iPhone 6s Plus and the 6s. And other than that, they talked about Apple TV and whatnot. And basically, to keep things short, honestly, I never really saw a point in a bigger iPad. I'm not exactly sure what their reasoning for making a larger iPad was. But the thing about it is the majority of people you ever see with an iPad typically are, you usually see them on airplanes, buses, etc., or they're educators and they're using them, to plug up to their projectors and they're designed so that they can, basically so that they can project presentations and lighten their load. Me personally, if I'm going to spend that kind of money on one of these devices, I'll just get a MacBook Air. A MacBook Air is about $1,000, but I already have a MacBook Pro, which was $1,500. I mean, my problem with iPads and tablets has always been that these things are content consumers, not content producers. The only thing they can really produce is a video. In the case of the new iPad Pro, it'll be a 4K video since Apple's unveiled 4K recording for the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. So basically, yeah, they can make 4K video with iMovie. They can edit those videos. There's a new Apple Pencil, which most likely will also work with the iPhone as well. So basically what they're saying is that this thing is, it has the new processor. It has an 8 megapixel iSight camera on the rear. So you have an 8 megapixel on the back, but the new iPhones have a 12 megapixel with 4K video recording. So they said that this thing is coming in November in silver, gold, space gray. It's going to be a 30 gigabyte for $799. The 128 version, which is the one which probably makes the most sense if you were using this for any level of business, is basically $949, which is $1,000 because you factor in the tax. So it's $1,000, and if you want the one with LTE, you're going to have to pay $1,079. So the one that has LTE carries a $100 price tag on top of that 128 gigabyte chip. Here's my problem with Apple. If you're going to build these things, these new iPads, there's no reason why you should have an LTE version and a regular version. You might as well just build them all with the LTE there, and you might as well have Wi-Fi LTE as a standard. I see no reason why you should be building these things and not including LTE. It seems to me that if you make it so that all of them have LTE included, what you're doing is you're giving people the option and tempting them to put this thing onto a carrier. Now, is it because the carriers don't want more devices on than necessary, which I really don't think is the problem? Because AT&T is charging a shitload of money in order to get just a 10 gigabyte data plan. I'm only paying $80 a month because I'm grandfathered into the unlimited data plan from the original iPhone. So the iPad Pro was the main thing that they came up with today. That was the main thing. On top of that, they had the iPhone 6s, 6s Plus, and the only real things that I was really hoping for was 4K video recording so I can make better videos in 4K. The thing about it is most people aren't even using 4K because for the most part, a lot of people don't have computers that can actually handle 4K. 4K ability really comes from your video card. Most of these people are using cheap computers that they got from Walmart with slow CPUs that don't even have embedded graphic accelerators. And if you're dealing with people with desktops, a lot of these people have desktops that have, basic graphic acceleration and can't really handle 4K video. On top of that, it's not really 4K video if you're watching it through a monitor that only broadcasts to 1140p. 1440 by 900. That's not 4K. So if you have a monitor that can't handle 4K, which most people do, then there's really no point in having 4K. And then there's 1080p monitors, and on those, there's really no point in even bothering with 4K because most people just don't have it. Most televisions do not support higher than 1080p. Most people are right now using 1080p with 60 frames per second. So to me, 4K is not really ready for prime time yet. Right now, it's just a selling point. It's just something that they try to get people to spend more money to buy. Meanwhile, I could get another 80-inch television for less than $3,000. If you go to Walmart, you can get a Vizio 80, or you can get even a Sharp 80 from BJ's, and you don't even have to pay that much for it. When you really get down to the nitty-gritty, Apple really doesn't have anything right now major to sell you that's anything more than an incremental improvement from what they sold us last year. Having a big-screened iPhone was really what everybody was waiting for. Not only did we get a big-screen iPhone, but we got a big-screen iPhone with a fingerprint scanner and the cameras that came out of the 5S with that 64-bit chip that was in the 5S, which was sped up a little bit to run that, the larger screen. This time around, they really don't have much else to sell you. They've got something called Force Touch, which allows you to take pictures that are called live photos. I have news for you guys. That's called a Vine video. If you take a picture where you touch it, it comes alive, that's really called a video. That's not called a picture. A picture is a still. A Vine video where it's like less than 6 seconds, that's really what you're talking about here. On top of the ability to shoot 3-second Vine videos, they also announced that the new phones will cost exactly what the old phones cost. In many other countries, there are no subsidies for these phones, so those people try not to buy them because they're just way too expensive. If you go to places like Dubai, you rarely see them because Apple doesn't have a big presence there. It's all basically Samsung. The thing about it is now they're pushing into more countries, and not only are they pushing into countries, they are offering new plans in order to subsidize the phones. AT&T disallows me from upgrading within the contract for 18 months, and they started doing that during the iPhone 5. That's the reason why I don't jump to new phones right away. So what you have here is the 6 and the 6S has a new upgrade program which will allow you to buy this phone and upgrade to the iPhone 7 when it comes out. They should have had that a long time ago. There's also new iCloud storage upgrades which give you iCloud for cheaper. 50 gigabytes for an extra $1 a month doesn't sound too bad. 200 gigabytes does sound better. There are new iWatch finishes, a new iWatch software firmware coming, and new bands. I'm happy with what I've got. So basically that was it for today. They did talk about Apple TV. I'm not really crazy about Apple TV. I never actually bought one because I use my Xbox One for everything. But this iPhone 6S Plus and the iPhone 6S are the newest improvements that they have to their technology. And that's going to be what drives their stock prices up. So I hope that you guys have purchased into Apple because, as you know, the entire stock market has had a wild ride this month due to Chinese manipulation. But not so much just the Chinese manipulation of their stock market, but also because of the American Federal Reserve. The problem is that the American Federal Reserve has left interest rates at 0% for so long that savers who have cash in the banks have been severely punished. Those savers have been told, oh, well, you're stupid to leave your money in the bank. Why don't you put it in the stock market? Unfortunately, there is no real stock market anymore. You put your money in the stock market, and you can be sure that when you turn around, it's going to disappear. Nobody can predict that the market is going to drop 1,000 points on a Monday. Nobody can predict that the Chinese aren't going to be telling the truth about what's really going on in their market. No one can predict what affects the Chinese raising the price of the yuan or holding the price of the yuan or lowering the price of the yuan. Nobody can ever predict what will happen when that happens. As far as the Federal Reserve goes, nobody can predict the long-term cost of inflation on the money that we've put into the market right now. There are a lot of people who can't even afford to retire because right now the money that they've saved up all their lives is worth so much less due to the cost of inflation that they just can't retire. So that means that there's a lot of young people graduating from school and they can't get the jobs that are still being held by these older people. Putting your money in the stock market is a fool's errand. it's gambling. And not only is it gambling, it's gambling against electronic trading machines, which can slam up and slam down and make you lose your money in an instant, just like that. Or it's trading against government manipulation. When you really think about it, there are no markets left. It's all government manipulation, whether it's the Federal Reserve or China or socialist Europe, which is right now being destroyed by immigration. That you can't trust the market. So hopefully, if you did purchase Apple, you got it at the low when it was under $100. If you didn't get it at the low, hopefully you got it around 102 or 103 or 101. If you did just buy into Apple, I recommend that after the launches of all this new equipment, you wait until the price rises to about 130, 140. It may not get to 150. I really don't think it will. But at that point, I think it'll be time to sell. And that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. So you'll make yourself a couple of bucks, but there's no getting rich off the stock market. What you're seeing is government manipulation, and you're seeing banks and businesses investing each other. What you're not seeing is Main Street when you look at the stock market. Very few people have extra money to spend in the stock market. So if you did get on Apple, good for you. If you didn't, well, you're probably safer with your money in the bank anyway.